People don't just wake up one day and decide to wreck your life. It's slow, it's subtle, and somehow it always starts with a damn password. About a year ago, everything felt like it was lining up. Good job, decent apartment, steady savings, and Tess, my girlfriend at the time, had just said yes when I proposed. We'd been together since college. She was funny, kind of wild, obsessed with her career in UX design, and always knew how to make a moment feel big. We'd been through broke phases, job hunts, car drama, roommate hell, all of it. So when she cried happy tears and said yes at a rooftop bar in Austin, I honestly thought we were golden. God, I was such an idiot. Back then, I worked as a DevOps engineer at a mid-tier tech company. Not flashy, but stable. Tess worked in the same field, contract design gigs, mostly, sometimes hopping between freelance work and in-house stints. She was still on a work visa from Canada, which we never really talked about much. I always thought, cool, she's international ads flavor. I didn't realize how much that visa was going to become the third wheel in our relationship. The first red flag. Stupid. But here it is. She changed her phone password. We'd always been that couple that didn't hide stuff. Her phone would be lying on the table, mine too. We'd scroll memes together, send reels back and forth. But around 7 months ago, she suddenly got secretive. Started flipping her phone upside down, taking calls outside. I asked once, half joking, "You got a side hustle or a secret family?" She laughed. "No, dummy, just client stuff, NDAs, you know." Sounded fair. I dropped it. Fast forward to last November. Things started to feel off, not she's cheating off, just emotionally out of sync. She was still affectionate, still showed up, still made plans, but she wasn't there. Her head was always somewhere else. Her phone would blow up during dinner, she'd giggle at texts and not say who it was. I didn't want to be that guy. You know, the insecure fiancé who can't handle a woman having male friends. But then a name kept coming up, Matt. Apparently an old friend from her design school days. We worked on this brutal thesis together, she'd say. It was just trauma bonding. Whatever. I didn't love it, but I wasn't gonna die on that hill. But here's the thing. She started bringing him up. Constantly. Randomly. Like we'd be talking about what to watch on Netflix and she'd go, "Oh, Matt said that new murder doc is fire." Or, "Matt hates cilantro too, we're not crazy." Like, okay, do I need this guy's culinary opinion while I'm making tacos? At first, I brushed it off. Then one night, we started this new show together, some murder mystery she said she just discovered. We binged 3 episodes in a row, super into it. I'm thinking, this is our new thing, cute couple stuff. Then 2 nights later, she leaves her phone on the couch while grabbing snacks, and I see a notification pop up. From Matt. "Told you he'd like it. Told you." And I froze. Wait. He recommended the show. She didn't just find it. She set it up like she found it. Why lie about that? That's what got me. It wasn't even cheating, it was the lie about something stupid. Which meant there were probably more lies about bigger stuff. So yeah, I opened her phone. And I know, total violation. But something in me just snapped. And if you've ever been there, you know that gut feeling, the one that makes your stomach churn even before you see anything that's not paranoia. That's instinct. I wish I never looked. Their convo wasn't just friendly, it was constant, day and night. Jokes, flirty banter, photos of outfits she never asked me for feedback on. A photo of us carving pumpkins together captioned, "Look at us being adorable," that she sent to him. Not posted, not shared with family. She snapped it while I was laughing, sent it to another guy, and never told me. I felt sick. And the cherry on top. He sent this one message. "It's in your court now." And she replied, "That's a lot to process. I'm still figuring out what I want." No shutting it down. No, "Hey, I'm engaged." No, "Don't talk to me like that." Just, "I'm figuring it out." Screw that. That night, I barely slept. She was in the bedroom probably dreaming about wedding colors and floral arrangements, and I was on the living room couch holding my guts together while reading my way through the slow death of our relationship one message at a time. This morning, she made me coffee. Like nothing was wrong. Like she didn't hand-deliver our private life to some guy who waited on the sidelines like a creep. She kissed my cheek. "You okay? You look tired." And I almost lost it right there. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. Not until I had my own court to throw it back into. Because I wasn't just hurt. I was done being clueless. I needed answers, not theories. And I sure as hell wasn't about to let her spin this as it just happened. You don't just happen into emotional cheating over 6 months. You build it. Message by message. Lie by lie. Emoji by emoji. I waited until Saturday. I needed the time. To calm down, maybe. But mostly to pull everything I could from her phone and my own memory before she caught on. I'm a DevOps engineer. I know how data moves, where it hides, how to track patterns. I wasn't going to go in there emotional. I wanted truth. I wanted receipts. And man, I got 'em. I copied every text thread, every flirty selfie, even the spreadsheet links she and Matt had been sharing. It looked like some random freelance client budget doc until I realized it wasn't freelance. It was him. She'd been helping Matt build his startup website. On the side, using my laptop, my Wi-Fi in our apartment while I was cooking dinner for both of us. And get this, she was getting paid under the table. Venmo'd, not logged. Hidden in notes that just said, "Thanks for the help." Yeah, that emoji really made it professional. She was essentially working illegally while on a visa, breaking contract terms with her real employer. All while I, Mr. Clueless, was out here co-signing her lease renewal and paying half the rent on time, thinking we were building a future. And it gets better. She wasn't just working with Matt. She was planning with him. A doc labeled T-Plan made my stomach twist. At first, I thought maybe it was some UX wireframe. Nope. It was a full-on strategy doc, how to structure her new life once her work visa ran out, safety nets, living options, marriage backup scenarios. Yeah, marriage backup. One bullet point. If married to Connor by Feb =, spouse visa. Green card secured. Another. If not Matt option, Canada route possible. My name was literally part of a damn flowchart. I wasn't a fiancé. I was AF **** in contingency plan. Saturday morning, she was still asleep when I sat at the edge of the bed. She looked peaceful. Not a care in the world. I watched her breathe for a full minute before saying, "Wake up, we need to talk." She blinked, sat up, rubbed her eyes. What's wrong? I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just handed her the iPad I'd been using open to her own messages with Matt. "Read that, and don't say a word until you finish it." She stared for a second, then grabbed it. I watched her face go pale. Minute by minute, her posture changed, first confused, then frozen, then ashamed. Or maybe just caught. When she finally looked at me, her voice was thin. It's not what you think." Jesus Christ, that line. I laughed, like actual cold laughter. Really? So you weren't planning your immigration strategy behind my back? You weren't sharing pics of our life with your old crush while telling him, "It's in your court now"? You weren't calling me plan A and him plan B? She didn't answer, so I kept going. "I paid for your car insurance last month. You cried because you said freelance was slow and your work visa situation stressed you out. And I helped you. I said, 'Don't worry, we're a team.' Meanwhile, you were wiring wireframes to your ex. Cute." Tess got up and started pacing. Her hands were shaking. "Okay, yes, I screwed up. I didn't know how to tell you because I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. You sure as hell knew what you wanted from me though, right? Apartment, legal status, money, emotional support. That's not fair." Really, what's not fair is waking up one day and realizing your fiancé is playing F ***** in Tetris with your life so she can stay in the country or run off with Matt if the algorithm doesn't compute. Then she said the quiet part out loud. I didn't mean to fall back into it with Matt. It felt familiar and safe. You're always so stable, Connor, so put together. And sometimes it's like I don't know, I needed someone who made me feel less boxed in. You ever feel your heart just leave your body like it says, "All right, I'ma head out this S****, ain't worth it"? That was me. Boxed in, I repeated. She nodded. You never get it wrong. You never lose control. You always fix things. And I didn't know how to tell you. I felt like I was living in your life. No, she wasn't living in my life. She was living off it. And now she wanted to blame me for being the adult in the relationship. Nah, not today. I told her I was going to stay with my brother for a few days. She didn't argue, just stood there frozen. And you know what? That was the final flag. Not the betrayal, not the cheating, but the relief on her face when I said I was leaving. Because that meant she wouldn't have to choose, wouldn't have to say it out loud. I grabbed a duffel bag, threw in 3 t-shirts, 2 hoodies, my laptop, and left. That night, I sat in my brother's guest room watching the ceiling fan spin, wondering how I missed all the signs. But then again, I didn't miss them. I ignored them. The late nights texting, the secrecy, the fact that she never talked about us anymore, just me, my clients, my career. There was always a wall. I just kept convincing myself it was temporary. Stress, money, visa pressure. But no, the wall was her. And the worst part, I built half of it myself by trusting her more than I trusted my own gut. By Monday, I'd made a decision. I wasn't just going to end the relationship. I was going to end the illusion of who she thought I was, dependable, forgiving, available. I logged into our joint lease account, removed myself. I emailed the car dealership, confirmed the vehicle was under my name, only sent a request to repossess. I flagged her freelance logins on my home network, shut off her VPN tunnels, deleted cached sessions, removed her access to my cloud storage. She'd been living in a digital house I built. Time to change the locks. Then I sent her one text. You need to vacate the apartment by the 30th. Everything you own will be boxed and waiting downstairs. I'll arrange storage if you don't pick it up. Also, check your email. I revoked my affidavit for spousal sponsorship with HR. Good luck. She didn't reply. Just sent a sad face emoji, like that meant anything. Screw that. That night I slept like a rock. For the first time in weeks. No gut twisting, no second guessing, just silence. You know what's underrated silence. You never realize how peaceful your life was until someone else's noise moves out. 3 days after I sent the final text, I was hoping that would be it. Clean break, no drama. She gets her stuff, I move on. But of course, nothing with Tess was ever that simple. That Thursday, I got a call from our building's front desk. Hey, there's someone down here trying to access the apartment. Says she's your fiancé. I told them to keep the door locked. She could text me like a normal person if she needed something. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Can we talk, please? Just 5 minutes. I left her on read. Then the emails started, first to me, then to my work email, then to my personal backup. Like she was working down a list. She kept saying she was sorry, that she messed up, that she panicked, that she didn't know how to undo what she did without losing everything. Yeah, well, should have thought of that before turning me into a damn stepping stone. But here's where things took a turn I wasn't ready for. A week later, I got a letter from a federal office. USCIS immigration stuff. At first, I thought maybe it was a clerical error. I hadn't submitted anything, but when I opened it, my jaw hit the floor. Apparently, Tess had filed preliminary paperwork for a change of immigration status spousal sponsorship. And she'd listed me, as her husband. Not fiancé, husband. Like she'd already submitted it, backdated it, digital signature, Form I-130, all that bureaucratic nightmare fuel. I sat there staring at the form, stunned. How the hell? Then it clicked. She'd done it behind my back. Used documents from our apartment, pay stubs, utility bills, fake mail forwarding stuff. All from before I found out about her and Matt. My first instinct rage. Like full-on blackout, break the wall kind of fury. But I held it in, took a breath, then another, then I got to work. First, I printed everything. The form, her fake declaration, screenshots of our text exchanges that clearly showed we were not married and definitely not in a good place. Then I called USCIS, reported a potential fraudulent application in my name, gave them all the files. They told me it would be escalated, and that if I wanted to file a separate report with the Department of Homeland Security, I could. Bet. I submitted everything. Then I called my lawyer friend Sam from college, who now works in immigration law. Sam was quiet for a long second after I explained. Then she said, "Connor, you do realize that this isn't just relationship drama, right? She could be facing felony charges, fraud, misuse of federal documents, identity misuse if she signed your name." I just nodded. I wasn't looking for vengeance. I was looking for a line, and she'd crossed it. Sam helped me file a formal statement. I got a notary, sent the full packet in, took screenshots of the delivery receipt, backed it up to a secure drive. And then I just waited. Which, let me tell you, was the hardest part. Because while I was trying to keep my head down, Tess was out there posting photos like nothing had happened. Like I was the bad guy who ghosted her after 3 years. Captioned one pic with some BS, like, "Sometimes people change. Sometimes they reveal who they've been all along." I didn't comment. I didn't respond. But my fingers hovered over the keyboard more times than I'd like to admit. Then one night, about 2 weeks later, she called. I stared at the screen. Let it ring. Voicemail. She tried again. This time I picked up. Her voice cracked immediately. "Connor, I don't even know what to say." Good, I had plenty. "You forged federal paperwork," I said. "Start there." She started crying. I stayed quiet. I didn't mean to submit it. I just filled it out. It was a draft, I swear. I didn't think it would go through. "You clicked submit, Tess." She was full-on sobbing now. I panicked. "I didn't know what to do when you left. I didn't want to lose everything. You have no idea how hard it is being here without a plan." I was desperate. I almost felt bad for a second. Almost. Then I remembered that spreadsheet. That flowchart. Matt or Connor, Canada or green card. Stability or excitement. She'd already chosen. All I did was take myself off the table. "I didn't report you out of spite," I said. "I reported you because I'm not going down with you if this gets audited. You're the one who crossed the line." There was silence on the other end. Then she whispered, "Am I gonna get deported?" I didn't answer. Because, honestly, I didn't know. But also, that wasn't my problem anymore. A week later, Karma showed up in a hoodie and a badge. Well, not really, but close enough. Tess got a notice to appear at an immigration compliance hearing. I found out through a mutual friend who worked at her old company. Apparently, HR got wind of it and cut ties fast. She lost her contractor gig. The company she freelanced with dropped her immediately. And Matt? Yeah, that was the best part. Turns out he ghosted her. Hard. After everything blew up after her visa became unstable, he pulled a classic Houdini. Blocked her on socials. Deleted shared documents. Changed his number. He wasn't in it for love. He was in it for the ride. And when the ride got bumpy, he dipped. Classic. She tried to reach out again. One last email. It was long, rambling. She said she was sorry. Said she wished she could undo it all. Said she missed the safety, the trust, the fact that I always showed up even when she didn't deserve it. She said she was going back to Toronto to stay with family until things calmed down. I didn't respond. Not because I hated her, but because I finally understood something. She hadn't destroyed us because she was evil. She destroyed us because she was selfish. And selfish people don't think they're hurting you until it's way too late. She didn't want me. She wanted what I gave her: stability, structure, a soft place to land. And once she had that, she wanted more. Someone who excited her, who didn't remind her of bills and taxes and lease agreements. So she gambled. And she lost. I didn't need to humiliate her. I didn't need to drag her name through the mud. The system handled that for me. All I had to do was step back and let her collapse under the weight of her own decisions. That Sunday, I sat on my brother's back porch, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. And for the first time in months, my chest didn't feel heavy. I wasn't just free of Tess. I was free of the version of me that kept trying to fix people who weren't broken. They were just using me to build bridges they had no intention of walking across. I pulled out my phone, deleted our old photos, archived the chat thread, removed her contact from my list. And then I texted Sam. Hey, I've got an idea. Thinking of building a small project, something to help track legal doc signatures and timestamps. Want in? A pause, then her reply. That sounds badass. Let's do it. Because, yeah, I lost someone I thought I'd marry. But I also gained something way more valuable: clarity, boundaries, and the quiet confidence that next time I'll see the red flags before they turn into an entire goddamn quilt. 3 months went by, no contact. Life moved on slowly but solidly. I dove into that side project with Sam. Turned out building tools for signature tracking and contract accountability was surprisingly cathartic. There's something weirdly healing about turning pain into function. Work was good. I was eating better, sleeping again. I stopped checking her socials, unfollowed every mutual, cleaned out the apartment, got my own place. Nothing flashy, but it was mine. No shared closets. No fake couple photos smiling on shelves while everything underneath was cracked to hell. And then, because of course it couldn't just stay peaceful, she came back. Not in person, not with flowers, no grand apology. She emailed me from a new address. The subject line just said, "One last thing." I stared at it for a full 5 minutes before opening it. My gut didn't even twist this time. I wasn't angry, just tired. Curious, maybe. The email was long, like novel long, rambling. The vibe was half apology, half resume. She talked about how hard things had been since everything happened, that she'd left Texas, that she was living with a cousin in Ontario now, that Matt turned out to be someone else entirely. Yeah, no shit. She said she was trying to put her life back together, but couldn't find steady work, that the USCIS case was still pending and the situation had left her with limited legal options in either country. She claimed she'd hired a lawyer, tried to clean things up, but the process was expensive, messy. Then she got to the point. "I know this is asking a lot, but if there's any way you could provide a formal withdrawal of the fraud report, just a note that you misunderstood or were acting in anger, my lawyer says it might help reset the review." I'm not asking you to lie, just soften it. I know I messed up, but I'm trying to survive. I read that paragraph 3 times. Survive. I laughed, out loud, bitterly. I was the one who almost lost my job when HR flagged the sponsorship form. I was the one who had to sit through hours of legal calls and paperwork cleanup. I was the one who paid for therapy out of pocket because I couldn't shake the anxiety of being used in my own home. But she was the one struggling to survive. Nah. I didn't respond right away. Took a couple of days. Thought about what I wanted. What would feel like closure? And then I wrote her back. Not with hate, not with venom. Just truth. Tess, I received your message. I'm not surprised that you're reaching out again. I read every word. And I believe that you're struggling, that you're scared, that you regret how things unfolded. But I want to make one thing very clear. I didn't act out of anger. I acted out of clarity. You forged a legal document in my name, submitted a federal form that had long-term immigration and financial implications without my consent. That wasn't an emotional decision. It was a legal boundary you chose to ignore. I didn't misunderstand. You used my trust, my stability, my home. You turned me into a strategic move and didn't even give me the decency of a heads up. And now you want me to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not even hurt. But I'm not lying for you. Actions have consequences. That's not revenge. That's adulthood. I wish you luck in rebuilding. But you'll do it without my name on anything, ever again. Connor. I didn't get a reply. Not that day, not ever. And that silence, honestly, that was the closure. No begging, no please reconsider, no guilt trip. Just quiet. It's funny when someone breaks your heart, you expect the recovery to feel dramatic. Like one day it'll click and everything will hurt less and you'll wake up different. But it's not like that. It's slow. It's realizing you didn't think about them during your lunch break. That you went a whole day without wondering what they're doing. That their name doesn't spike your blood pressure anymore. A few weeks after that final email, I was walking home from work. It was raining, classic Austin spring storm. I ducked under a store awning and ended up next to this older woman. She looked over, smiled, and said, "Looks like it's coming down on purpose, doesn't it?" I just laughed and said, "Yeah, but maybe it's washing something off." She smiled, nodded like she got it, and we stood there in silence. I don't know why that moment stuck with me. Maybe because it was the first time I felt light again. Like the weight wasn't tied to me anymore. Like everything had been scrubbed clean. A few nights later, I met up with Sam for drinks. She handed me a manila envelope, nothing dramatic, just official confirmation that USCIS had processed the fraud claim. The case was under review. They might press charges, they might not. Either way, my name was clean. "You good?" she asked me. I just nodded. "Yeah, really." We clinked glasses. She leaned in. "You know, I've seen a lot of messes, but yours, that one had range." I grinned. What can I say? I attract chaos with an arts degree. Then I paused. "Honestly, though, thanks. You helped me keep my head." She gave me this look, half fond, half tired. "Nah, man. You did that yourself. You just forgot what it felt like to be angry and grounded at the same time." She was right. It wasn't about blowing up. It was about planting your feet. Saying, "That's enough, and you don't get to use me anymore." I think the biggest lie we tell ourselves is that being the bigger person means being quiet. But sometimes being the bigger person means standing your ground, saying no, signing the report, closing the door, letting the chips fall, and walking away without turning around. I still don't think Tess is evil. I don't even think she planned it all like some master manipulator. She probably believed her own justifications. That's the scary part. People don't have to be villains to ruin your life. They just have to be scared enough to stop caring how their decisions wreck yours. And if you're soft-hearted like I used to be, you'll bend, make excuses, absorb the damage. Until one day you realize you're not a shield. You're a person, and your peace matters too. It's been 6 months now. I've got a new apartment. Started casually seeing someone, no pressure, no labels, just easy conversation and honest laughs. It's nice. The startup with Sam is picking up. We pitched to a local firm last week and got approved for a small grant. Nothing life-changing but solid footing. And me, I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm just done pretending like being used is part of love. That chapter's closed. And no, I don't wish her the worst. But I sure as hell don't owe her the best anymore. It was supposed to be just another networking event. Tech mixer downtown, mostly startups, recruiters, and way too many people pretending they're about to IPO when they barely have an LLC. I showed up for the free drinks and a chance to soft pitch our project with Sam to some investors who might not run the other way if they saw the word compliance in a deck. Sam was working the room like a damn lawyer in court, charming, quick, laser sharp. Me, I was mostly hovering by the catering table doing that classic introvert thing of pretending to be fascinated by sliders. And then I heard it. Her name. Tess. My whole body tensed like someone plugged me into a wall socket. I turned slowly and spotted a small group near the bar. 3 guys in business casual talking animatedly. One of them, tall dude with a startup hoodie and ironic glasses, was saying, "Yeah, she was supposed to be our first designer. Really smart, honestly. But then that whole visa mess happened. Heard she almost dragged her fiancé into legal trouble. Wild stuff." My throat dried instantly. Before I could even think it through, I was walking over. I tapped the guy's arm lightly. "Sorry, did you just say Tess Morgan?" He blinked. Yeah, you know her." "Yeah," I said. "I was the fiancé." His face dropped. "Oh, damn. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to, damn." I gave him a tight smile. "It's fine. Water under the bridge. But since you brought it up, can I ask what you heard?" He hesitated for a second, but I think curiosity won out. "She did some test runs with our UX team last year. Said she was wrapping up work with another company and planning to onboard once her visa stuff cleared. Sent us samples, did a Zoom with our CTO. Then she asked if we'd sponsor her." That tracked. I nodded. He continued. "But something felt off. She didn't have a work history that matched her LinkedIn timeline. Like, her portfolio had stuff dated during contracts that didn't exist. Our CTO called her old firm to verify some projects. Turns out she never officially worked there." Of course. He added, then she pushed this sob story about an ex who went nuclear after she ended things. Said he was retaliating by reporting her to immigration and trying to sabotage her opportunities. I let that sink in. So I was the villain in her story now. Right, I said flatly. And did you believe her? He shrugged. We didn't know what to believe. But we didn't want the legal heat. HR noped out real quick. We dropped her before it could get messy. I nodded. Smart move. He looked at me a little too long, then said, You doing okay? Better than ever, I said, and meant it. We shook hands. He backed off. I went straight for the whiskey table. Sam found me a few minutes later. Everything good. You look like you saw a ghost and then punched it. I handed her a drink, ran into a story I thought was finished. She didn't press, just gave me that lawyer nod like proceed when ready. So I told her everything, what the guy said, the lie Tess had spun. When I finished, Sam whistled. Wow, she really went full unreliable narrator on your ass. She didn't just cheat, I said. She built a whole damn franchise about it. Sam smirked. And now you've got the receipts. What are you gonna do? That was the thing. Old me would have drafted a 20-slide Google Doc and sent it to every contact she'd ever pitched. Would have scorched earth. New me. I took a sip of my drink and said nothing. Sam raised an eyebrow. Nothing. She's already burned the bridges. I'm not lighting more matches. Let her live in the fallout. She grinned. Now that's power. Later that night, I walked home alone through the city. It was that weird quiet time past midnight, but not quite morning. The air was cool. My mind was calm. And for the first time, I realized that knowing the truth didn't make me spiral anymore. It just confirmed what I'd already felt. That whole relationship, it was one-sided. Not just the lies, but the energy, the effort, the emotional heavy lifting. I remembered all the times I'd stayed up helping her polish portfolios, write cover letters, revise projects, talk through interviews. All the support, the encouragement. And she was out there telling people I ruined her career. No. She ruined her own career by treating people like disposable tools. And when the consequences hit, she reached for the nearest excuse. She didn't just lie about me. She erased me. Twisted me into a warning tale she could weaponize whenever someone asked, So, what happened with your last job? And you know what? I still didn't hate her. That was the wildest part. I just felt empty. Like there was a hole that had been leaking for years and someone finally sealed it. Closure isn't always a door slamming. Sometimes it's silence that stops echoing. 2 weeks later, I got an email from an old friend of hers, Jenna. We'd hung out a few times in the early days. I figured she'd unfollowed me like the rest. Subject: Not sure if you want this. Inside was a screenshot. It was a text from Tess to someone in a group chat, timestamped just after everything blew up. He's not a bad guy, just too stable. I needed space. I panicked. I think I've asterisk it up something solid, but it's done now. Asterisk. Then a second message. If he ever reads this, tell him I was sorry. Just didn't know how to stop lying once I started. I stared at the screen for a while. Not sad, not angry. Just done. I didn't respond to Jenna. I didn't forward it. I didn't screenshot it and save it in my I told you so folder. I just closed the tab. Because I didn't need an apology from someone who still couldn't say it to me directly. I'd made peace with the silence. I didn't need her voice in my head anymore. A few nights after that, I was at the coffee shop near my new place. Barista handed me a cup with my name spelled correctly, small wins. I sat down with my laptop to work on the compliance tracker and noticed a couple sitting at a table across from me. They were laughing, sharing headphones. The guy reached over to fix her sleeve. She smiled without noticing. And I realized I wanted that again. Not the Instagram couple look, but the kind of connection where you're present, real, safe. Not strategic, not conditional. I deserved that. And I wasn't in a rush to find it. But I wasn't scared of it anymore either. People talk about revenge like it's this explosive act. Fire rage, scorched earth. But the real revenge, is living in a way that makes their memory irrelevant. They don't get to own your sadness or your future or your story. Tess may have used me, but she didn't break me. She just made me stronger by proving what I'll never tolerate again. So yeah, I walked through hell with her name in my phone. Now I walk through peace with her, erased from my contacts, my lease, and my life. And that's what healing really looks like.